1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
No, the guy with the rubber glove was surprisingly gentle.
7 years of college down the drain.
God bless the internet.
All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Containment Unit. I'm Tony.
I'm Lindsay.
And we do have a guest with us, finally. We were able to arrange a guest. Past couple podcasts have just been Lindsay and I. But with us today, we've got...
Joseph Lalogan here.
And Joseph is one of the co-founders of the Phoenix Ghostbusters. I promised everyone we would have more Phoenix Ghostbusters on the podcast. There's a reason why we called it the Containment Unit.
Yeah. It's been a while being a buster, but yeah.
Once you're in, you're in for life kind of thing, you know. I think I'm the only one that got tattooed, though.
Yeah. You're the only one with the mark.
Yeah, the only one with the brand.
Yeah.
The stamp.
Yeah.
Tramp stamp. I get it.
But it's on my leg. It's not a tramp stamp. But for this one, last time we had an episode, Lindsay and I did a full review, a spoiler review of the Justice League. And we got to talking with Joseph and just talking about DCEU, the whole DC cinematic universe, and how it's being represented in the media right now. So we wanted to talk today just about DCEU in whole. But first, Joseph, I want to know what you thought of Justice League. So what's your review?
Okay, for me, I liked it. I went to an advanced screening over by AZ Mills, and the theater was packed. Had a bunch of people from the Justice League, not Justice League Arizona, from Comic Care, and they all dressed up like the characters. And it was pretty fun. I mean, the atmosphere was alive, and almost everything about that movie that was shown, the cues, some scenes, I don't know, are we going to go into spoilers with this?
Oh, yeah, we spoiled that.
Okay, ahead of it? Okay. So, I mean, all the scenes that happened with the Flash, Superman, there was some cringing moments with the CGI, you could tell, but I mean, everyone was laughing, and I was like, okay, we got a home run here, I suppose, with this movie. So I mean, I liked it. I really, really liked it. Like, this is something I could pop in and actually enjoy. Like, the replay values, I would pop this in, once it's on DVD, Blu-ray, and all. Okay,
so you definitely enjoyed it. On a scale of 1 to 10, just if you had to give it a score, what would you give it? I mean, for superhero movies like that, for this one, I would give this one 8.5 to 9 range. Okay. And the 9 being kind of my DC bias, mine, but there were some things I had my gripes with, but I'll keep it to maybe between the 8 and 9. Okay. So, yeah.
I gave it an 8, but the big thing that took it down was the lip.
Yeah, the Henry Cavill's atrocious CGI lip. And
the Snapchat video in the beginning, that was, you could tell.
Gosh,
Hi, how you doing today?
Not a great way to start with that effect, and that was the indicator of reshoots with Joss Whedon. Yeah, because we know that he had to come back once Joss Whedon took over and did some rewrites. So it's like, come on, Whedon, you know better than that. That should have been an absolutely no, this is not gonna make it to the screen. But no, we had so many bad CGI lips, and from what we hear, the people from Mission Impossible were even offering to let him shave it, and then they'll put the mustache back in post. Yeah. So it's why couldn't they do that? Yeah, or just give him a really bad... I mean, his mustache already looks like a porn stash anyway. It looks really bad. So the real mustache could have been faked. So you already mentioned that you've got kind of a DC bias. I do too. Lindsay is not a huge fangirl, but appreciative of it.
Right. I don't have a bias one way or the other. I just don't see the point in knocking one just because you prefer the other one.
Yeah.
And that's nothing that I think we're doing here, is saying DC's better than Marvel. But
no, but a lot of the people who are knocking DC is because they have a bias towards Marvel.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of like we've said before, DC, they're never gonna be able to get out from under the shadow of Marvel, because it's going to be, if they do it one way, people will say, well, why didn't they do it the way Marvel did it? Because they got the winning formula. So they do it that way, and then they're only doing it that way because Marvel did it.
You can't please anybody. That's
right.
That's just what it comes down to.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so there's a bias towards Marvel, I think, in this industry, which is going to hurt DC when it comes to critic reviews and things like that.
And one of the critical reviews for Justice League called it a failure. An outright failure. And I don't even think opening weekend was done yet.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, that was a little harsh on them. I was kind of like, wow, well, like I said, I guess this is a DC bias mine coming into play. But, I watched Thor Ragnarok. And, well, since we're going to go into spoilers and all, I mean, hey, 3 of his buddies died.
Yeah, the Warriors 3 just gone. And
then hey, your dad died, plan blew up and all that. It's kind of okay, man, here's the, take into effect here, cry for them or something. Please show emotion.
Yeah, there's none of that. And that's the thing I was telling him, was that they put in all this comedy. 80% of the dialogue was improvised.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they put in all of this comedic aspect, but then it took away from all the drama. They focused so much on that, Banner, whenever he jumps out of the ship onto the Rainbow Bridge to turn into Hulk, and then you're expecting him to land as Hulk, but he just and it's wow. And it's this mid-dramatic scene. They're in the middle of this fight, and then you just have Banner slammed down on the ground, and his leg is twitching, and his eyes are half open, and it's just they didn't have to. That wasn't necessary.
When Thor throws the ball and it ricochets back from the window and then it hits his face,
right.
And I'm
right.
Come on, guys! We had a back credit card, and this is great.
But they did all that, and they put so much into concentrating on the comedy that they forgot to recognize the fact that these heartbreaking things that happen. Thor never even acknowledges the fact that his friends are dead, and it's never even really acknowledged that Sif isn't there.
Yeah, where's Sif? Everyone's been asking, where is she?
They don't even touch on that. You see Sif mentioned one time, and it's during, I'm going to call him Loki Odin. I'm going to call him Loden. So it's during Loden's play that he had put together, memorializing Loki's death, quotation marks, in Dark World.
Did you guys notice? I mean, when that
he hasn't seen it. I have.
I know everything that happens. So
okay. So you were dead sure about this?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I've read it.
There is a cameo, and of course, did you notice the Dogma connection?
Yeah.
I was like, Matt Damon, Loki, Dogma. It fits. Not many people did. They had to think back, and they're like, oh yeah, he was Loki.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. I've only seen Dogma one time, and I was like 20, I think, whenever I saw it, so I didn't even remember that connection.
Well, I think a lot of the comedic influence, I think, stems from Chris Hemsworth on Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
because he was basically recognized as the comedic standout of the film by a lot of critics. So he's like, oh wow, I can be comedic, and then he does the reboot of National Lampoon's Vacation, where he's the brother-in-law, and it's really bad humor. The bulk of his joke is that he walks around in his boxer briefs with a Dirk Diggler-sized prosthetic down his pants, and everywhere he poses, he's got to put it on display. So I think Chris Hemsworth got it in his head that he's going to be a big comedic actor, and it's no, dude, Thor may be hokey, but you got to be serious with certain aspects of it. And
like, I hope people put on their They Live sunglasses or the They Live earplugs, because quite frankly, from what I'm seeing, almost every Marvel superhero in the movies, not comics, cartoons, TV shows, like, I'm kind of seeing, like, everyone's turning into Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, everyone's got to be the wise ass.
And then as soon as I just said that, everyone's like, wait a minute. Then they're thinking back, wait, holy shit, he's right.
Everyone's being a comedian. It's a good thing we didn't get a comedian to play Paul Rudd is Ant-Man.
Oh, the guy from Clueless. We definitely need his help.
Yeah, and at this point, I think the only one that is still serious in everything they do is Captain America.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And I don't think Captain America is hokey at times, but he can't be a comedic character. He's got to be the really stand-fast one.
And that's why I kind of lean towards his movies, his trilogy, because, I mean, Captain America, I mean, to me, I mean, my dad back in the Philippines, he collected a bunch of Captain America comics, and it's kind of funny how it passed down, like, hey, Dad, your kind of geek genes went into us boys and, all the kids. And so it's funny is he told me this one story, like, oh, I remember I did have this issue with, it was with Captain America, and a bunch of other guys behind him, and it was this Avengers issue, and it was number 6, I believe. Volume 1, he actually did have the very first when he came back. And my dad was like, I tossed it.
Oh.
I was like, God, no.
No.
All of us could have gone to college twice.
He just tossed it? Just threw it out?
You just lost it. No, you just kind of like, because kids, you never really think back at it. You're just like, well, it helped me read, but it's not going to be anything.
So we're talking about the comparisons, basically, how Marvel, in many respects, is hokey now, and is very comedic. Guardians of the Galaxy is almost full comedy.
But they were always comedy.
Yeah.
The first one started out just being completely hokey.
Yeah, but Marvel in general is adopting a more comedic approach, and it's approved. Critics are just raving. Thor, the most Ragnarok, is 92% critical approval on Rotten Tomatoes. And then you get Justice League, 41%.
Yeah.
But then they're really close in the audience approval. It's 81% audience for Justice League, and then 88 for Thor. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, it's 88 there too, audience. So it's kind of like the critics seem to really have a bias against DC, whereas the fans...
That's 7%. Yeah.
Yeah. The fans are really, supporting the Justice League here. And
the fans seem to just be supporting both more equally because they're just geeks and they just want to see a good geek movie.
Yeah, when people, they ask me, oh, hey, Joe, Marvel, DC, and all, which one would you pick? And I'm like, well, I'm a comic book fan first. Right. Before it comes down to any of those two. But which one do I like? I've been around DC more than Marvel until Marvel came with all the 90s Fox Kids cartoons and some of the comics that came there with let's introduce Spider-Man through the Maximum Carnage storyline. Not a great one, but it was, my introduction to the Marvel-verse. And I got to say with the Marvel movies, not to get... not to say, screw all Marvel movies. I like them. They're enjoyable. They're entertaining. But I did have my, quips and all that, my little uncertainties with some of the, direction they've been going towards. So,
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after Infinity Wars, because I hear they're rebooting, or that's going to be the end of their current continuity. From what they've talked about. So
I think they're getting to a point where they need to do something like that, though, because there's so many storylines and so many characters that they're trying to follow within the same stream that it's going to become really convoluted.
Yeah, and all this, and Black Widow still doesn't have her own movie.
But no, she never will.
Yeah, at this point, she never will.
And here comes Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Right? Well, neither does Hawkeye, but then his character retired, so
Hawkeye I don't think can carry nothing against Jeremy Renner, but the character
itself.
Yeah, the character can't carry it. But.
I think it's the actor himself. I mean, just look at Bourne Legacy. Let's bring him back, Matt Damon.
We're going to bring Jeremy Renner into the Bourne films and Mission Impossible. He's going to carry everything. Okay, Matt Damon's coming back and Tom Cruise isn't leaving. Okay, sorry, Jeremy.
And I was going to say Jeremy Renner would always be that douchebag from SWAT to me, no matter what he does. And I'm like,
can't not see him.
You went up against Bullseye, so
yeah. When you get your ass handed to you by Colin Farrell in a movie. So backtracking back to the core subject, DCEU, the DC films and the shared continuity. So what were your thoughts on the films that led up to Justice League, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman?
Okay, so let's start with Man of Steel. To me, I liked it. I mean, it was bold. I mean, they try to hammer into the audience. Man, Christopher Nolan has a kind of touch to this movie and all that, even though it put it out there that he's just producing this movie. I'm not writing, I'm not directing anything.
Executive producer. He had limited control.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done. He said it in Dark Knight Rises, after the movie post-production, just I'm done with superhero movies after Dark Knight Rises. And with Man of Steel, with Zack Snyder helming, and I was like, well, I did 300. I didn't like Sucker Punch or that Guardians Owl movie. But then I was, well, I did like Watchmen.
I forgot the ultimate cut. There's an the Guardians film, and it's a whole bunch of CGI owls. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he did that.
I have no clue. I thought you were talking about that one with Jack Frost and the Tooth Fairy and Sandman and stuff like that.
No,
that's
no,
not Snyder.
no,
Russian
not that
Santa Claus.
Oh no, not that one.
Alec Baldwin is the Russian Santa Claus. But yeah, okay. So yeah.
I was gonna say that was him. Really?
No, that was not a Snyder film. But.
Yeah, he did 300, and then one of my all-time favorite Zack Snyder film is the remake of the Dawn of the Dead movie.
Oh yeah,
that
is so good.
If people say he can't do characters, I'm like, he kind of can. He did it with the Guardians of the Galaxy, director, writer James Gunn, and so, when Man of Steel, I went in and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna, see this new take on Superman. I liked it. My parts that I have problems with were some of it'll be in the present time, then cut back to, him as a kid or teenager. And there was someone who didn't edit where it was just a linear, cohesive movie. And it worked out perfectly. I don't know why they couldn't just keep it at that. Yeah. To me, Christopher Reeve would always be Superman. Superman the movie is basically the holy grail of the superhero movies. And, Man of Steel, I really liked it. Can I say this?
Go for it.
He punched somebody. After, oh my god, Superman Returns, I was like, oh man. I call it Lift Man Returns.
Yeah, all Superman did was fly and pick things up. That is
get shot at, and that was it. And get Kryptonite Shiv with the sexual abuser.
Cry that I'm still Superman, but I'm still Superman. Oh my god! Thanks a lot, Justin, for showing me that scene and totally killing that movie for me. I mean that genuinely.
Kids are crying. That was
But yeah, after Superman Returns, I was really concerned that maybe they would overdo it or just, it was either going to be too much or too little. It was going to be keeping what they've done before or go just completely left field and maybe we'll get Red Sun Superman,
Yeah.
I was right there with you. I enjoyed it. I thought Henry Cavill was a fantastic Superman.
Yeah, and Michael Shannon was a great General Zod. I wanted to hear, Neil, but
he
did, Neil before Zod.
And he did not play the Terrence Stamp Zod. Terrence Stamp was just a crazy sumbitch that wanted to take over everything in front of his face.
Yeah.
Whereas this was the Zod that we'd seen in comics for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
All he wanted to do was protect Krypton.
Yeah.
And so he's a bad guy, but really you can't fault his desires. His end game.
Yeah, his intentions were pretty similar. I mean, or just what he wanted to do. And so I think it was Joe Quesada who said, like, General Zod was the good guy and Superman was the bad guy. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. For a guy who wants to wipe out the human race, that's kind of the bad guy here. Yeah. Whereas Superman just kind of wants to walk among us. And no, I was surprised with like some of the average scores. And I'm like, what did people have a problem with this movie? Like, I generally liked it.
Yeah, the two things that really bugged me were the complaints about the amount of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I hate to compare it to this, but that was the comparison they used, the 9/11 level of destruction. And I kept telling people, just wait. The next film, when they bring in Batman, because we knew it was coming, they're going to use this as the reason Batman doesn't trust Superman.
Yeah.
And that was the freaking opening of Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, well, Superman doesn't kill. So what did you think about Superman snapping Zod's neck?
Oh, just ball right there. Well, since the Phantom Zone was gone and there was no like mirror to put him in, what can you do with someone who's as dangerous as you?
Yeah, and he's about to kill humans.
Yeah,
and it was very clear. It wasn't just like Superman's easy solution, snap, and then he goes about his day. He was fighting it till the very last minute. He does it, and then you can tell from his reaction, we now have a reason why Superman doesn't kill.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people were just expecting him to be Superman right out of the gate. He was stopping robberies, helping old ladies cross the street, and this was an origin.
Yeah.
And people are kind of forgetting in Superman 2, the original cut, how they died.
Yeah, Superman blatantly kills Zod, just casually, with a smile on his face.
I don't remember that.
In the original cut of Superman 2, when they kicked Richard Donner off and had that other director come in.
Yeah, Richard Lester, I think.
Yeah. Superman grabs Zod and throws him down a cavern.
Oh, okay.
And then that's it. You never see Zod again, so Zod's dead.
Yeah.
It's not until the Richard Donner cut that we see... and I still don't know how the hell these police units actually pulled up to the Fortress of Solitude, but you see police units out front and Zod and everyone being brought out in handcuffs.
Yeah.
So in the original cut, Christopher Reeve, everybody's favorite Superman, kills Zod with a smile on his face.
And by that time, Zod's also lost his powers, too.
Zod is a complete weakling in comparison.
He's human, he's stoppable, and he just kills him.
Yeah.
And before, he came back in the comics and all, I mean, Superman... How could you like the no-kill rule? Like, okay, we're just going to let Doomsday walk among us humans. Nah, he's got to punch him to death, so...
Yeah, it's not like Superman went around and killed random people.
You guys are robbing this bank. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Laser vision.
Granted, we see him... what he can do. I love to jump ahead to Batman versus Superman, I love the nightmare scene that Bruce has, where he's seeing this world ruled by an iron fist by Superman. Superman just walks in and just looks at a guy, laser vision, and just chops him in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Superman could be that kind of a killer, but this Superman, we've seen him kill one person. That's
just
it.
one,
and he was hurt. He was upset, and we now know that he's never going to do it again. Christopher Reeve, on the other hand, I can't say it enough, killed an unarmed, defenseless man with a smile on his face. So don't give me this, my Superman doesn't kill bullshit, because, Superman kills. He has to sometimes. Just like Batman, and we'll get to that in a minute.
But he doesn't have the no kill one rule.
You're gonna have to break your one rule, and everyone's sitting there going, "What one rule?" Because I remember the last movie, you killed a couple guys.
You couldn't just let those League of Shadow dudes walk among Gotham. They'd know how to escape a regular jail cell.
I'm not gonna kill you. But I'm not going to save you. No, you're freaking killing him. You put him in that position.
While you're in the train, you're going to kill him.
Right.
I mean, you look back at the original Batman movies. I think the only Batman in the original 4 films that didn't kill was Clooney. But he did. I mean, he killed the franchise. But in terms of people, Clooney's Batman didn't kill. That's the one film where the villains are alive at the end and just back in Arkham. But Val Kilmer killed, and Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton punched a guy, stuffed a bomb down his pants again with a smile on his face, and threw him down a manhole to blow up. So again, now we're Batman doesn't kill.
Don't forget the Access Chemicals plant. He took all those people,
including
the poor janitors and security guards. I would say.
He drives the Batmobile in, drops bombs, and leaves. And so, Batman doesn't kill. Again, bullshit. Batman kills. And it's even in the comics. When Batman started, he didn't go around just swinging around in all these gadgets. He was going around with 2 9mm strapped to his waist. Batman's brutal. So, nowadays, maybe Batman has the rule, but it's still in the comics. There's reasons to have all this. So, jumping ahead, Batman versus Superman.
Oh, now...
What'd you think of that?
Oh, man. I can't even lie about this one now. We got... Okay, so I'm with my buddy, Travis, and... his girlfriend Allison, and we went to the Cinemark, and we were watching Batman vs Superman. I remember getting pumped up about this movie. We were like, "Yeah, we liked it," we can't wait after everything that was shown to us. We watched the Comic-Con presentation that they had before going into this showing, and man, did we want to take a DeLorean back and be like, "People, this movie's a piece of shit." Not like you said about the destruction with Metropolis. There was some things when parents die. Bruce's again.
You say that with a roll to your eyes. Even when parents die.
And then hey, it's Negan and Maggie.
It happens.
Whoop-de-doo. Who cares? With. When the kid was floating up with the bats, I kind of cringe at that part.
Yeah, that's...
But then when they say what was it, the Dawn of the Superman or something? When that showed up on screen and then it showed the destruction, I was like, okay, now I'm into this movie. And then after saving the little girl, building, zoom out shot of Bruce Wayne, then the movie started. And I just could not they have trouble with this Lex Luthor.
Oh, that's
the one thing that always got me about Batman vs Superman is Lex Luthor.
He's the fucking Jar Jar Binks of that movie. I will sit there and to compare it to Star Wars, I can watch the prequels. I can find enjoyment in every single one of them. The moment Jar Jar's on screen, nope, skip it. Fast forward. The moment little Anakin's on the screen, or even older Anakin in the second film, skip it. With this, anytime Jesse Eisenberg's on, I gotta fast forward. That I was hoping that they were going to reveal he's not really that he's the son,
or their take on him. And I'm watching it, and I'm just talk to my buddy Travis. I'm like, dude, would you let a creepy kid like that put a Jolly Rancher in your mouth? He's like, hell no. Immediately, deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean, Lex Luthor is supposed to be the guy who is so suave, so smart, that he can convince the American public, after all the crap he has pulled in his life, can convince the American public to elect him president. Mm-hmm. That's not this Lex.
No.
That Lex would not leave a jar of piss for somebody to drink.
This Lex has no charm.
Yeah.
No.
He has no charm. at all. And yeah, you get that he's smart, but he's too maniacal. Like that outwardly crazy maniacal. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I don't know. Like Hugh Jackman, he was campy, but there's just something about. Oh, what I say, Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
No, not Hugh
like,
Jackman. Not Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman. There we go. When he was a campy Lex, but I enjoyed the living crap out of him.
He was charming.
And
he was charming
and
as hell.
He fit what they were doing with that movie. He fit the tone.
He had Otis. He had Miss Tessmacher. You know, like
Miss Tessmacher's on Supergirl. The TV show on CW.
I did see it. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like, I was gonna say Michael Rosenbaum. To me, it was like the live-action Lex Luthor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I got so burnt out on Smallville that, like, by the end of it, I think we missed 95% of the episodes.
Yeah.
But anytime that I knew he was going to be on, oh, hell yeah, I'm watching it. He was Lex.
Yeah.
And that's the Lex I wanted for this. And instead, we got the Riddler. Like a crazy-ass Jim Carrey Riddler.
Yeah.
As Lex.
And he's like on the top 10 list of like the most miscasted, characters of all time. So it's like, it says something.
Kate Bosworth is Lois Lane from Superman Returns. It's...
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But what does that say about the overall of Batman versus Superman, the script, the rest of the performances, that Jesse Eisenberg is the main talk about of what brings the movie down?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. There were some things that I don't know. This guy, he brought those two together, and I don't know. They said that they were going for it's basically, hey, it's that guy, Social Network, and all that. He's just basically a twisted, like you said, maniacal, bad guy. And I'm just kind of like, I just, if I don't buy it and the rest of the audience doesn't buy it, it just doesn't work well with this movie. And then I did not like Doomsday's design or how it was conjured up in the first place. Like, I was like, oh,
how
boy.
is Doomsday's? I know Doomsday is a Kryptonian concoction, but
in the comics, he's in a shuttle that crashes like planet to planet, and he just kicks the crap out of everything there.
I think it was said perfectly in the Max Landis did like a whole retrospective of Death and Return of Superman, and Doomsday first started out underneath Earth, and then he like comes out, and then that's how it's supposed to be. He didn't know where he comes from, but he literally just killed Superman, like no origin whatsoever. And then they explained that he was just a test tube baby that just killed everything and all that, killed again, then comes back. And
I hated the idea that Doomsday was really Zod.
Just with Lex Luthor's DNA.
Yeah, that was.
Is Doomsday supposed to be? Is he supposed to have a consciousness? Is he supposed to have some inkling of intelligence to be doing what he does?
Not really.
No.
I mean, like Bane for the Batman comics is like the complete opposite. That's kind of how they designed Bane, was to be the Doomsday for Batman, but Batman's not going to be defeated by a complete idiot, a complete dolt of a creature. That's why Bane is a genius.
That's why Solomon Grundy. It was basically Solomon Grundy, but with bone protrusions and all that.
It's basically. I was gonna say, with it being this Doomsday being just Zod put into this like cocoon or whatever, is basically a zombie, like a Resident Evil style, zombie that's gone through all the metamorphosis. And
now,
stuff.
if they had the Nemesis show up just out of nowhere, I'm talking full head to toe Nemesis show up in this, probably would have gone over better than this.
It just comes out, man, what could save this movie? Well, let's call Sony Pictures for Nemesis.
Let's get a, we can't use this, so, what's Superman going to fight? Stars. It just but overall I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it's great.
The Ultimate Edition, though, that's what should have been. Yeah,
that 3-hour cut is terrific.
I want to ask, what's your take though on you're letting them kill Martha, the whole Martha thing during the fight? Because
Why'd you say that name?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people don't like that part.
It could have been handled a little better, but I guess I was just kind of lost into it. Like, I just want to watch the movie, you know.
Right.
But you know, why did you say that name? Say Martha. Like, it would have been like, what the hell? Like, who the hell? Like, he should have been like, who the hell is Martha?
For a lot of people, it wasn't until that moment that they, like, I remember talking to my brother after it, and he was like, I never realized that both of their mothers' names were Martha. And I'm like, you didn't realize that? And I talked to a lot of people who actually didn't realize that Bruce and Clark's mothers were both named Martha until it was pointed out in Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah. And the whole point of it was this is the first time that Batman sees Superman as a man. He's not an alien to him anymore. It's, he has a mother just like me, and I have mommy issues.
I think I was talking about my older brother about that scene, and he's just like, I wish he could have just said, just save my mom. And like, wait a minute, out of all the things that you're capable of, you telling a guy who kills a lot to save, save my mom, that would have just been perfect, like... Last act is, save people.
Yeah, but I felt like he needed that that thing to push him out of his head, because he was so stuck in
the death of his parents again.
Well, he was also so stuck in Superman's an alien. Superman has this godlike strength. That he says it himself. If there's even that 1% chance that he could use those powers for bad. And so that's all he's thinking about there is he's an alien. And what brought him out of his head, what always brings him to a certain level of not calm, but out of that violent aspect of himself, is grieving for his parents, especially his mother. And so for his mother's name to all of a sudden be dropped, that brings him out of that violence and into that grief.
I was really disappointed in Justice League that they didn't point out that Aquaman and Batman, both of their fathers are named Thomas.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Well then, welcome to the Justice League.
Yeah. I just wanted them to be, wow, both of our dads are named Thomas. Huh. And just go about it. just make a joke about it and just walk away.
Bro hug and
we
then
have
leave.
To hug now. We have to hug now.
But that scene, going back with Martha, he created a crap load of memes. People are now creative in their internet lives, so it's at least there was life from this movie ish.
I agree with you there. I feel like it could have been handled better, but I understand why they used what they did for it,
Yeah, and I think you make a good point that a lot of people didn't even make that connection. Mm-hmm. So when it's said, the effect is kind of lost.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it really just tapered for some, but for the most, it seemed hokey, and I agree that.
Yeah, it does come off as hokey. Yeah.
Like after the movie was done, like I walked out there and I'm kind of like, hands to my eyes, like, oh my God.
It's burned into my vision. I can never let it
know,
go.
I had to call my best friend who was up in Sholo at the time. I'm like, JD, dude, did you see the exact same movie as I did? And he's like, yes, man, it was a piece of dog shit. And then my buddy Travis, who I saw with, he's on speaker. JD was on speaker, and he's just laughing his ass off. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you really want to see this movie? Like, when you think of Batman versus Superman, would you think of this, or Batman and Superman? Would you think of this movie? I had to pop in the WB cartoon movie that they had. It was just Lex and Joker, and I was like, that would have been perfect for them as villains. To set everything into motion, but it is what it is, I guess.
And then they go to another critically crapped upon film, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Which honestly is, I think I enjoyed Suicide Squad more than Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I'd probably put it on par with Wonder Woman. Not on quality.
Not on quality.
I was going to say, I should head out.
Not on quality, just sheer enjoyment. Because Suicide Squad is, on a structural level and just on an analytical level, is a steaming pile of crap. But it is a hell of a lot of fun. I especially, we talked about, you said the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman is great. The extended cut of Suicide Squad. I can't watch the theatrical cut anymore. I got to watch the extended cut. I love it.
Yeah.
Again, that does not mean that the plot or anything like that is good. It's just it's fun to watch. The characterization. I love the chemistry between Margot Robbie, is that her name?
Yeah.
And Will Smith. You know, I love the way they work off each other. But other than that, the rest of the movie's crap.
And again, it seems like DC is having a hard time with villains because Enchantress is just
she was such
horrible.
a weak point of the movie.
Yeah, she
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Valerian, your ass on out of here.
Yeah.
That's how it should have been.
But overall, like, you know, Margot Robbie, I think, was spot on as Harley. A lot of people dump on Jared Leto as the Joker. Mm-hmm. And I get it just because it's not a Joker we've seen live action, or we haven't really seen a motion interpretation of the Joker he was playing, but he's definitely playing a comic book style Joker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've even pointed that out to some people on like through Facebook, talking about, oh, I hate Jared Leto's Joker or stuff like that, and I point out, well, actually, he's a really good representation of the Joker from the comic books. And then he goes, okay, I'll grant you that, because, you know, I never actually liked the Joker from the comic books. And I'm like, yeah, you're a fan of the Batman comics?
Yeah.
I don't, okay.
So what were your thoughts on Suicide? The fact that you're laughing already means this is going to be good.
It's like, man, this whole kind of trend, I'm starting to agree with the Marvel.
Damn it, why'd you have to make me think about these movies?
Wait, there's thinking involved with these ones. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. With Suicide Squad, I'm like, look, hey, it's a movie about super villains. Okay, you know, minus Katana and, you know, Rick, whoever the hell his name is. RoboCop remake guy.
Isn't he like Australian or something?
It's like something like that, yeah.
I have to look it up.
Like, I did not like the villains in this movie. You had the Joker right there, who should have been the main antagonist of the main antagonist of this movie, and they couldn't go. I had to watch, and this was so bad to do. I didn't even watch Batman vs Superman because I did not want to go through that again. So I popped in The Dark Knight, and then I popped in Assault on Arkham. And then I watched this movie immediately. It was okay, good. The villain sucked, but the characters were enjoyable. That's all I have to give for Suicide Squad. The characters were enjoyable. The ending definitely needed a lot of work. Like a lot of work. Like the part where Deadshot, you know, has the gun and, you know, oh, daddy, don't do
that
this.
hurt so bad.
Like, I'm going like, oh boy, like I didn't even need to. Like, I could feel the atmosphere in the audience. Just like, yeah, it's it's dog shit.
I think we were the only ones in the theater that like were visibly enjoying it. Like when it was over, we were smiling because we were like, wow, that was fun. It was crap, but it was fun. and people were just walking out just grumbling, and I'm like, come on, just enjoy it for what it is.
And at the end of the movie, I was entertained. It left me like, good. Whereas Batman vs Superman left me like, I need to march to WB and tell them like, this is what you released. But you know, Suicide Squad, I was like, it was good. You know, it was okay. Not the best. Like, it was basically a C minus, but I'm being too nice here. So it's like a D plus passable, you know, movie.
I'm not
it's
gonna
a DC plus.
No.
Yeah, DC plus. I think that's going to be but it really is, and like we've said several times, I think this is the one where it really shined over Batman versus Superman was the characters and how they were enjoyable. Even the really minor characters had moments of, you know, their time to shine, really something to laugh at, or you could get behind them in some way, shape, or form, except for the one that gets his head blown up, and I can never...
Slipknot.
Yeah, Slipknot, and it's just... as soon as they brought in that actor, I'm just like, well, I know who's getting killed first.
Yeah, I didn't see him in any of the other trailers and clips,
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be gone.
But at least we get, Killer Croc. I was glad to finally see a representation of Killer Croc that worked.
Yeah,
I felt like it really worked. And then I can't praise Margot Robbie enough. I thought like she really nailed what Harley Quinn is expected to be.
Mm-hmm. But what I really give props to Margot Robbie is when the theater went crazy for this one scene is when Harley, she has her perfect dream or something, her perfect La La Land, and she was or something, and it was the origin of her being told, and it showed like a quick cut of her in the original outfit with Jared Leto in the tuxedo and all that, and everyone in the theater was like, oh, hey, look at that nostalgia right there, it's Harley Quinn in the original outfit, and I was like, yeah, I give them props for that. Like that was pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, and even when you look at the extended cut, when you see her as Harleen Quinzel, she really understood the character. Mm-hmm. She really got the balance between a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed doctor who falls in love with a patient and basically loses her shit.
Yeah,
and that's why that's one of those where I'm really thinking that the next film that they need to do a cut before they release it. This is the theatrical cut. This is what we're going to put on Blu-ray, and then whatever they're going to put on Blu-ray, that's what they release in theaters.
Yes.
Put that out, because that seems to be where they're really succeeding lately.
Now, you know what I've said before about Margot Robbie. I think she did a good job as Harley Quinn, but I still feel like she was too young. Because if you take into account the time that it takes to get a doctorate and to become well-known enough in your field to be given someone as dangerous as the Joker, and then be given enough time to that big of a, she's a crazy criminal, crazier than the Joker type of reputation. Margot Robbie at the time was 24 years old?
Something like that.
That's about the time that someone was actually getting their doctorate.
Now this one, DC Plus becomes DC minus.
Well, you look at some of their casting decisions though in the past, like Kate Bosworth as Lois Lane in Superman Returns. She was like 23 at the time, and this was supposed to be a follow-up to the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve. This was basically a follow-up to Superman 2 in many ways.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be 7 years later.
That was 5.
Or 5 to 7. I'm thinking it's 7. But still, 23 years old, and she's supposed to be the Lois Lane from the first 2 films?
Yeah.
No. They always go a little too young with some of their people.
I'd say Margot Kidder had more spunk as Lois Lane than Kate Bosworth.
Oh my gosh, so much more. Margot Kidder, you really can't. Anyone who plays Lois Lane, that is the standard. That she set the bar. There's Margot Kidder at the bar, and then everyone's got to try to reach that.
Yeah, Erica Durance is like right below her.
Yeah,
she's, and then Amy Adams, I guess, takes the third.
I like Amy Adams as Lois Lane, but that's because a lot of it I feel like they finally gave Lois Lane credit in the writing.
Yes.
They finally made her a really actually strong female. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I totally forget that, Amy Adams was once in Smallville, so I'm like...
That's right. She was the one who
had to
ate.
eat. Yeah.
Who ate. Yeah, her mouth would get really, really big. I completely forgot about that one. That was like season 1, wasn't it?
Season 1, yeah.
That was early.
Superman runs in her career, so it's like, yeah, give her the part of Lois Lane and
right,
all.
Yeah. So, she's not a brunette, but she's more of a redhead. But still, I don't mind the changing of the general, what people look like or anything like that. My big thing is when they change the name. Like MJ in Spider-Man.
Oh.
I don't care who they got cast as, who they casted as, or I don't even care that they didn't turn her into the popular girl anymore. They changed her name.
What was her name again?
Now it's Michelle Johnson or something like that, but originally was Mary Jane. Because there's power in a name.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There is power in a name. You take away the name, you take away the power. And that, that's that's my big thing, is don't mess with the name.
There was I kind of lost hope with some, geeks out there, or said like, oh, Spider-Man Homecoming is like the best Spider-Man movie. And I was just been like, oh no, I beg to differ, and all it took was like this one guy I just met recently and all. And, he said, nah, man, Spider-Man 2 is so much better than Spider-Man Homecoming. And I was like, thank you.
At least they're not arguing that Spider-Man 3 was better. Tobey Maguire going goth, dancing down the street.
That wasn't goth, that was emo.
Oh, emo, yeah, sorry. That was...
Down the street. Oh, wait, hey, Topher Grace. It's Eddie Brock. That's not my Venom.
Oh, no. And I remember we saw that in the theater, and I was so frustrated with that film. It gets to the scene where Peter elbows Kirsten Dunst like right in the face. I cheered. I got up out of my seat and started cheering because I was just, he's like, yes, this movie's so bad. Knock it out. Mary Jane's the best part.
One of my favorite Spider-Man scenes is actually in the second Tobey Maguire movie, though.
Which one?
The second Tobey Maguire.
No shit. What scene?
On the subway when he loses his mask.
Oh yeah.
I love that scene.
Yeah, after he stops the train from falling over and
he gets knocked. He doesn't get knocked out, but he gets unconscious. Is that?
And they start lifting him up like it was like a concert or something, or he's Jesus or something.
Very very biblical references.
But
there.
it's the whole thing of the people on the plane. They're on the plane on the train. Yeah, they're protecting him. Doc Ock tears into the train and everything like it's a freaking can, and and they're all like, "You have to go through us first."
If Alfred Molina were to come back though as Doc Ock in the new, I would be in for that. Yes. Actually,
he was too good as Doc Ock to pass up an opportunity to bring him back.
And me geeking out, that scene on the train has got a guest star from Beauty and the Beast in it.
Which.
The episode with Michael, the kid who falls in love with Catherine. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the 1980s Beauty and the Beast.
Old Ron Perlman and
I love that show. And one of the guys who's like leaning over Peter on the train is like, "Oh my gosh, he's just a kid," stuff like that. He guest starred in an episode of that show. So, he was in the Robert Downey Jr. movie. Where he has the ghosts that...
Oh, yeah, him and Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, is that Marissa Tomei?
I think so, yeah.
But, where he has the four ghosts who get attached to him at birth and everything. In the flashbacks when he's a kid, he plays the dad.
That's right.
So.
All right, so now we're up to a good DC movie, or at least the public perception and the critical perception, Wonder Woman. And I was honestly kind of shocked at the huge outpouring of support for Wonder Woman, because when we saw it in the theater, we got out and we're like, yeah, that was good. I wasn't like jumping for joy with it. I thought Gal Gadot was amazing as Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. For me, I feel like it paralleled Captain America a little too much, the first Chris Evans Captain America film. But I felt like the cast was great. Finally, Chris Pine is doing a movie that I don't feel like he was miscast for.
No, he was actually pretty decent in this one.
Yeah, and overall it was good. I wasn't as impressed as people are talking. It's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. No, not necessarily. At least to me. But what were your thoughts?
For Wonder Woman, all I have to say was finally. It's actually on the big screen.
Yeah.
I'm here witnessing it. It was good, a typical origin movie. I'm surprised of all the praise that's got. Like, it's, one of the greatest of the year and all that. It's good. It's like Captain America, except hotter.
Yeah.
And I heard, some reports that they were going to take out the No Man's Land scene, which I think was... You had to keep that in there.
If they lost No Man's Land, that movie would have been dead.
Like the movie was good, pace wise, everything flowing together, and Gal Gadot just being, what's it, like a fish out of water? Just that term, just kind of enjoy, kind of witnessing mankind and all that. I mean, her and Chris Pine, their chemistry together was perfect. Like DC's like only their universe. Their hope is like clinging on to like Wonder Woman 2. I don't even know how Aquaman 2 is even gonna do at this point. But I mean, I left the theater, from Wonder Woman, and it was good. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, finally, a step in the right direction. Let's just say.
Yeah.
My only gripe about like that entire movie was in the end when she kind of goes Super Saiyan for a bit, and it turns into Sucker Punch, and I'm kind of like, this organization, Zack Snyder got a hold of this part, but it was good though.
I never saw Sucker Punch.
It's
just
hard.
Yeah.
It's people try to use Sucker Punch as this pro-feminist agenda film, and really when you look at it, it's nothing close to that. It's a girl in a mental institution who goes to this fantasy world when she's drugged up and being raped by the orderlies.
Oh, that sounds disturbing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you were sucker punched, after watching that movie. I would say though, okay, what really helped Wonder Woman, and it's kind of funny that this, similar to Containment Unit with Ghostbusters and all that, all the shit that female Ghostbusters, or as me and a couple others like to call it, Feek Busters. Ronan, this one's for you. Like, okay, after all the nasty shit, like, all the reviews, the bad reviews, like that Ghostbusters movie got, they were just being nice with Wonder Woman. I'm going to say it loud and clear. They were being nice with this movie because they would say that, it wasn't a great movie at all. Just because it's Wonder Woman, like that critic would have got assassinated or something. So they're like, just take this fresh tomato. Here you go.
I feel like I liked Wonder Woman. I really did enjoy Wonder Woman. I feel like it got extra praise because female director, finally Wonder Woman on the big screen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like because people wanted it to be good so bad that they gave it extra praise than what it deserved. Not to say that it didn't deserve praise. It was definitely very good. Gal Gadot did a wonderful job with it. The directing is very good. And sorry, I've been running up and down the stairs, so give me a minute to catch my breath.
It's not 10 out of 10,
no.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's still very good. Like I heard you saying the chemistry between Gal Gadot and
Captain Kirk,
yeah, was very good, and I mean, apparently those two were making eyes at each other during the filming, so apparently their chemistry was very good.
Like, if you see shots of them on the press tour, their shots where, like, Chris Pine is talking and Gal Gadot is looking at him with the most dreamy eyes, biting her lower lip, and when she realizes people are looking at her, she just puts her head down and stops looking. It's like, oh yeah, her husband has something to worry about at this point.
Yeah, you better be aware of Captain Kirk right there.
Right.
Okay, here's so this was funny because a couple of friends and I were playing Battlefront 2. We made this kind of movie connection, and we started laughing. When Buddha's palm, when Wonder Woman Buddha palms Batman back and all that. Like, don't talk about Chris Pine or don't talk about Steve like that. And then I kind of mentioned to all of them, hey, remember that one movie where Steve Trevor killed Batman? And they're like, what movie was that? Piece of shit one called Smoking Aces. And they're like, oh yeah, they did. The Blob and Captain Kirk. They did kill Batman.
Oh, that's back when I think he was still doing like the Princess Diary movies. That is early Chris Pine.
But one thing that I saw on, it was I think it was on Tumblr, right?
Yeah.
And it was a girl who studies fashion and everything, noticed, and like the history of fashion, noticed a lot of people were still saying that they didn't like Wonder Woman's costume because they still felt like it was too revealing, too sexualizing, stuff like that. And she was like, no, it actually isn't. Because she started pointing out the differences between other Wonder Women?
Wonder Woman, yeah.
Yeah. But, because is the plural of Wonder Woman Wonder Women or Wonder Womans?
Wonder Woman's.
I think Wonder Woman's. All right, okay. Focus.
Wonder Woman. My daughters will do that.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew. Yeah. They'll just start going, Wonder Woman.
That's what. Oh, I snorted. That's what was missing. You know how they play the old 60s cartoon intro in Spider-Man? They should have played the 70s intro of Wonder Woman in the credits.
But it was pointed out how Linda Carter's Wonder Woman costume was based off of lingerie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it even showed lingerie at the time, how it fit and where the way it was cut and everything. It was based off of lingerie. And then it started showing Wonder Woman's outfit and the Amazonians in Wonder Woman. It was different for Justice League.
Yeah.
But, they try to keep the similarities in there. But it showed how Wonder Woman's, the corseted top was styled after layers of leather, which were meant as a form of armor back in like Greece or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it showed how the reason why it's cut so high over the thighs is to be able to move your legs without them being constricted. And she showed pictures of actual armor that they found from those time periods to show that it was used by this to inspire the costuming, and also how the Amazonians have a metal plate over their left breast, because it's believed that the Amazonians would actually cut off their left breast to keep it out of the way of a bow and arrow.
Oh, wow.
And so they
I know.
And so
we're trying to kill that guy, but let's cut this off here.
So, they're warriors. That was their first, their first thing. And their first priority was to be able to fight, not to be able to look physically appealing.
It was the age before ace bandages.
And so, they're not going to say, you need to cut off your left breast for this movie. So they put a metal plate.
That's dedication to a part.
So a metal. If you notice, a lot of them have like a metal plate over the left breast and oftentimes it's with the ones who are the archers. Yeah. So I mean, they really went to historical accuracy for that one, which was great.
And I feel like they really, I don't think they've ever slacked off on the look or the purpose for most things. They slack off on the script. Yeah. On other DC movies.
Yeah.
This one I felt like they just around the board really put the effort in.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was a good step in the right direction. And they got somebody who I was concerned when they announced her because I'd only known her from
Monster.
Yeah, and what was Gal Gadot was only basically known for
Giselle in the
Fast and Furious movies, and I've never been impressed with those. And then she came out here and is kicking ass, and you can tell that it's her. They're not having to cut away to a stunt woman for every shot. And it's like, oh yeah, because she was in the Israeli army for 2 years. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
But overall, I felt like it was definitely that step, and I think Justice League was another step higher for me, at least.
Yeah.
All right, so wrapping up Wonder Woman, that brings us back up to Justice League, and kind of brings us to the end of the discussion we started with talking about.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle back to Justice League. But what I want to hear from both of you, and I'll throw in too, is just how you feel DC has done overall. If you had to give them a grade, is it DC plus, DC but also where would you like to see them go, and what are your thoughts on Aquaman? Because that's the next one that we've got to look forward to in 2018.
You go first.
Dang.
Did you say dang?
Yeah.
Put me on the spot.
To me, okay, the grade overall is the verse. It's, I mean, like I said, this is now the DC bias minds stepping in, but to me as a whole, they're at a C minus. range or D plus. So that's where I kind of leave them. To me, I would have to say that I don't know, for these guys, they would have to start to me fresh, but that's just so much work after what they did with Wonder Woman and all that I would hate to see them kind of wiping the slate clean and then tell Gal Gadot to just start it. We're gonna start new again. So
there's no way they could after what she's done.
And that's where that kind of there's the wrench in it. They have to work around it. Now for Aquaman, I definitely love Jeff Johns' new 52 take on Aquaman. So I mean, if the source material is where they're taking that from, count me in. And Jason Momoa, I love Khal Drogo and Game of Thrones and all that. Look, I'm wearing a Game of Thrones shirt as we speak, but this is more Tyrion. Yeah, but I mean, Jason Momoa. I met that guy actually, I think 2 years ago when he came here to Phoenix, and like I said, I was going to bring this up. There was a funny story, and so. The news was announced he was going to be Aquaman and all that, so I was like, oh, hell, dude, we better take a pic with this guy before, it becomes super...
Everybody's lining up and you can't get in to
yeah,
see him.
Exactly, yeah, and he's going to be uber Ace Comic-Con expensive and all that. So, so we got in, purchased a ticket and all that. It was me, my brothers, and, my good friend Travis, and we go in and all that. And we're the next ones in. I just that's all giddy girls and all that. Oh my god, it's him and all that. And he's wearing this stupid hat. But he's like, "Come here, you knuckleheads," and I was just like, "Oh hey man, we liked in the Game of Thrones and all that. You were pretty awesome and all that. What can
pretty awesome. You told me it was pretty awesome."
I mean, I was just like, dude, he has the tattoos and shit. He's Hawaiian American, and so we get up there. And the dude was massive. I was just I could see why they chose you to be Aquaman. They could have chose any other role, but you're the king of Atlantis. So it's my older brother and I, we get his arms, and I swear, kind of funny. It was like an awkward moment, but still was funny. He had his arms wrapped around us, and my brother and I, we kind of looked at each other and we're like, just kind of we sniff him out, and we're just he's like, we got out there, and I'm like, did he smell good? And I'm like, yeah, he kind of did smell good. It's that Hawaiian style. There's this guy crush thing, and it was just no, not turning gay or anything. And just just kind of, he kind of does smell good, for Aquaman. Hey, yeah, rule Atlantis with that scent. Who needs coffee? It reminded me of that skit from Kids in the Hall. Yeah, it was with Dave Foley and all that, and he sniffs I forget one of the kids in the hall, his armpits and all that. He's like, can we just come back to that again?
He's bottle his scent up and sell it. Momoa, the scent of Atlantis.
And then Joseph paid another $50 for another picture. Just get back in line and
just get that to me. Yeah.
Now you can smell like Aquaman.
All right, so what do you think about your thoughts on
now onto
DCU?
that.
Follow that.
Well, I've never met Jason Momoa, so excuse me. Oh my gosh, what were the questions again?
If you had to grade the DC Cinematic Universe as a whole, and what would you like to see them do, and how do you feel about what we're gonna get with Aquaman?
Great F.
I don't know. I mean, because I can't help but think of the stories individually, because whereas the Marvel movies, they do try to keep a similar feel. I mean, you even hear the Avenger music happen throughout the standalone movies, but you don't have that type of thing going on with Justice League. So each one has its own standalone feel to it. Suicide Squad does not feel like Man of Steel. And Man of Steel does not feel like Wonder Woman or anything. They each have their own tone to them, but it's when they come together that a new tone is created. And it's kind of like, it makes me think of music, that each one has its own note, and when they come together, they make a song. And that sounds really dorky. That sounds so stupid.
Yeah, you kind of lost me there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get where you're coming.
That's so stupid. Just cut that.
Not at all.
Leave that in there.
But I'm gonna give it like a B-.
Oh, now you're too nice.
Nah, I'm always nice. I'm always nice. I've often been told I have a vindictive brain. I just don't act on it. Because I'm always nice. But no, because, I mean, there were some movies like Suicide Squad where the story's crap, but the casting was good. You got a cast that has good chemistry together. Mm-hmm. And then other ones where you've got a good story, but like with Batman versus Superman, you've got a good story. It could use some fleshing out in bits, like with like we talked about with Doomsday. Mm-hmm. But like some of the casting wasn't quite right, like Jesse Eisenberg. So each one has their own bit. So I'm gonna give it B- overall to compensate for the failings of each individual. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what do you? What would you like to see them do? What would you like to see in future DC films?
Make a good movie. Okay.
Ouch! Burn that one. Oh, they're gonna be stinging from that one. Batgirl.
That's coming.
Is it coming?
Joss Whedon is. There's been the rumors that Joss Whedon has been removed from Batgirl because
of that's right.
His ex-wife publicly coming out about his infidelity and stuff like that. The last I've heard, he is still signed on. He's still set to go. So we're getting a Joss Whedon written and directed Batgirl, probably 2019.
Yeah, but Batgirl, and I'm trying to think who else. Because we got Aquaman coming, we got Flash coming. I mean, if you really want to go full Justice League standalones, you need to put in a Cyborg.
I think they're looking at that, and we are getting Green Lantern Corps. It's not just going to be just
Hal,
the Lantern.
yeah.
It's not going to be Hal. It's going to be all of them. So,
but if they're going to do Batgirl, then they have to. I would love to see their take on Supergirl. Their take on Kara crash landing to Earth and Clark finding her. And which take would they go? Would they go on the take that she was meant to help protect him as he grew, or on the take that she was meant to sabotage him because the brothers were butting heads? And
I think the best thing that they're gonna have to do is I think it's from like 2002, give or take, the Michael Turner drawn, where they reintroduced Supergirl.
Mm-hmm. That would be a good
I think that would be an amazing story to see on the big screen. They did an animated version of it, and it just kind of fell flat. Yeah. But I think if they could do it right, that would be the best Supergirl story to tell. Overall, I would give it, and I fully admit, this is my bias, full steam ahead, A-.
Okay.
Yeah, I am biased.
Okay, I take that back for being nice.
Yeah.
This guy takes it to a whole new level.
I'm super biased. I fully admit that there are faults in every single one of the films, but I grew up with the DC comics. I mean, Batman and Superman ever since I was a little kid. So to finally see all this on the big screen, it was that heartwarming. Effect. Yeah, it's heartwarming. Where I'm loving it. I actually wrote an article for the radio stations I work for when Ben Affleck was cast that was titled "Grab Your Pitchforks, Ben Affleck is the new Batman." He's one of my favorites now. Mm-hmm. I think he's done a phenomenal job with that. I think everybody's been very well cast. I'll go on there and say, Khal Drogo was badass as Aquaman. I mean, this is a guy that we've seen videos of online where he goes, "Hi, I'm Jason Momoa." In my free time, I like to drink beer and throw tomahawks. And he throws an axe down a shooting range onto a target, gets a bullseye, turns around and gives the shotgun and goes, yeah, motherfucker. And it's just like, okay, I don't care.
I buy it.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Yeah,
I don't care what movie
chops.
he's doing. I'll watch him in this.
Right.
So
I love whenever in Justice League, just anytime he goes, my man.
I'm a man. Yeah. Honestly, you could be a soundboard.
Right.
We finally got an Aquaman who's a badass, because Aquaman's always been made fun of. So I'm actually looking forward to the standalone Aquaman film. I really want to see what they do with Batgirl. I want to see just more of the, I'm really, really hoping that they make up for the crap fest that was the Green Lantern movie with the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping we'll see something.
I so hope they get Armie Hammer in there for Green Lantern.
Yeah, seeing Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill back together after Man from U.N.C.L.E. will be great.
I just want Clark to go up to Hal and go, remember, take it like a pussy. And
if you haven't seen Man from U.N.C.L.E., that's one of the best parts of the film.
One of the best lines, and the way he delivers it is fantastic. I love it.
You said something about going back with like, what do you want from the DC universe, and I was just like, well, less studio involvement.
The head of
interference.
Warner Brothers,
the
head of Warner Brothers is stepping down because of
Oh, really?
of everything.
Yeah,
because of all the crap, and because they fully admit that Justice League was studio interference from day one. And all the problems, they said, no, it's because Warner Brothers kept saying, no, we want this, no, we want this. And after all that, the head of Warner Brothers is like, okay, I'm stepping down, and he's only been head for like 3 years.
Yeah. It's like, geez, man.
I was gonna say, with some of the DC movies, like I like DC, I like Marvel. And I think with all these superhero movies that go around and all, like after the very first Avengers was shown, it made it obviously clear this movie is basically the death of standalone superhero movies. And it was intriguing just kind of looking at that, because why are we having standalone movies even after Avengers? Like, guys, just do things together. Your problems will be solved in less than the 2 hours we have to sit here and watch, like Dark World and all that. Like Thor, call them up.
Yeah,
the Avengers, done, 45-minute movie, and this is like where Justice League comes in. Yeah, we're gonna have like Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, and I really do hope that we still have the DC universe, that nothing is rebooted. I know they're gonna have Flashpoint, which I think is the nice reset button to everything. Their little plan, hopefully. Like another superhero movie that's not both of them, but I'm kind of interested in is Glass.
Oh yes.
Out of all things, like my brother's like, dude, do you remember Unbreakable and all that? I rewatched it. I was like, oh my god, I'm jaw dropped. Again.
Oh, is that what you were?
It's the sequel to Unbreakable and Split.
Yeah, and I watched Split, and then that ending, that twist at the end, I was like,
okay, he's seen Unbreakable, but not Split, and I haven't seen either. So, but
he
does spoilers. He looks everything up, so you're not spoiling anything.
I will read everything, so I know exactly.
Watch Unbreakable. Just watch Unbreakable.
Yeah, we need to get that. You will enjoy it.
Yeah.
If that movie was, it was ahead of its time. It came too early, but if you were to release Unbreakable now, that movie would be an Oscar winner, like right off the bat. Yes, yeah. I am not kidding. Yeah,
it's fantastic. But all in all, I feel bad really at the end of this, because I feel like we made Joseph really analyze the films more than he has, and maybe
I knew. It's just I'm gonna have to share it with the entire world.
Now he's gonna be sitting there thinking, damn it, Tony, now I don't like this movie.
Well, here, I'm going to burst your bubble on Justice League, but did you see Aquaman do any water attacks in the final battle? Exactly. You're like,
They were in a desert area, sort of, though, so...
not desert, it was nuclear
wasteland. Yeah, there wasn't exactly water nearby.
Yeah, but, again, we'll see what they do with... Aquaman, and they've already said that they're not going to do the air bubbles for speech. They're just going to be talking underwater. So
really,
yeah, we'll see how that goes, because I don't know if I want to have a 2-hour movie of people doing that gurgling talk underwater.
Hello, Mr. Topato, you know, like.
All in all, I do want to thank Joseph for coming by. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
that was great. Thank you.
I'm definitely going to have you back, because I think with the new year, either January or March, so for either Rumble or WrestleMania,
oh,
we're going to be doing we're going to do a wrestling themed one.
Did
So
you see that Hulk Hogan is going to be an ace now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better believe it, brother.
I don't know if I want to meet him now after everything.
I still would.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Come here, you racist bastard. I liked Macho Man more.
Oh,
dig it.
It's like, oh, it's Hogan. Okay, now I want to go and do that to him.
And then the whole ass.
Yeah.
Just do a leg drop on me.
Where's Liz? But I don't think we can top that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But again, Joseph, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And another 2 weeks, and we'll have a new episode up. And if you have any suggestions for an episode, please email us. It's the Containment Unit Podcast at gmail.com. And we're on Facebook at facebook.com/the Containment Unit Podcast.
Later.
Bye.
Hey, buddy! Party's over, so let's just go home!